remains the Kolkata rape and murder case. We are now 10 days since the Kolkata rape and murder case. The country is, of course, outraged by what happened on the 9th of August. But viewers, while we express our outrage on the streets, it is important to look at solutions and what is it that we can do, because the problem is not just in Kolkata. There was Nirbhaya, and now there is Badlapur after Kolkata as well. What India truly needs at this point in time is a scientific study of sexual predators, because for people like us, for people like you and me, it is unimaginable the things that the sexual predators from Kolkata, from New Delhi 12 years ago did to their victims, which was eventually revealed in the autopsy reports. It is important for us to analyze and understand what goes on in the brains of humans that are actually then revealed to be monsters. So here is a 6-point plan that NewsX has proposed. Number 1, we would like the Indian Medical Association to launch India's largest study into sexual predation. Number 2, we want a team of the Behavioral Sciences Unit of the FBI to be invited to India to share their findings and for further training of our doctors and other professionals. Number 3, we want that the study should be chaired by India's top psychologists. Number 4, we want that the prison departments should give access to convicted sexual predators in order for this study to be conducted. Number 5, all convicted sexual predators must undergo a brain mapping study to identify neurological problems as well. And number 6, we want that the findings of this Indian study should be published within a given timeline, and updations must be made as and when deemed fit, because viewers, this is not a one-time study. This is not something that we can do for the next 2 years and then expect the results to remain the same for the next 100 years. Why we say that is because some of you may be aware of a series called Mindhunters on Netflix, which is based on 2 FBI agents who expanded criminal science by delving into the psychology of murderers and getting close to the real monsters. The woman that you see on your screens is Ann Burgess. She is an American researcher who worked with the FBI in the 1970s, and she studied the minds of America's most brutal serial criminals. One of her cases was on John B. Simonis, ski mask rapist, who confessed to over 80 rapes across 12 states. She found that there was a similarity in the pattern of victims, women who lived a wealthy lifestyle. Another case was John Joubert, killer of young boys in Nebraska. She found that he built trust with his male victims as an assistant scoutmaster. Another case was on Harvey Glattman, also known as the Lonely Hearts Killer, who killed 6 women he picked up hitchhiking. The findings and his motives was that he never had the opportunity to date as a teenage boy, hence he killed all the women he subsequently went on dates with. The overall findings of her study were following. Number 1, she found that absent fathers was a frequent similarity amongst the killers that she studied. The second thing she found was that killers enjoyed seeing fear in their victims more than anything else. Number 3, she also found that there was, in most cases, an ignorance of early warning signs by mental health professionals. And lastly, they concluded that her study proved that there is a value in understanding a criminal mind to help profile likely killers in future cases, or at least help solve the cases much faster. Ann Burgess' study has proved crucial as it has helped in future cases by finding the likely killers and then zeroing in on the actual culprits. On this telecast today, we make an appeal to the IMA, India's top psychologists and neurologists, to join the NewsX campaign and start the largest ever profile study on India's sexual predators. To take this conversation forward with me, I have retired DGP Mr. B.L. Vora. We also have with us Mr. Naresh Chava, former National Joint Secretary of the IMA. I have with me Dr. VI Kumar, Principal Director and Unit Head of Neurology at Max Hospital. And we have Dr. Nisha Khana, a Senior Psychologist, with us on the broadcast. I want to begin this conversation with Mr. B.L. Vora. Mr. Vora, I was recently reading some reports on the introduction of psychologists and psychiatrists to help out the criminal justice system in finding out the motives in order to understand what exactly was in the minds of the criminals. I just want to understand from you, sir, what was the situation earlier as to how cops would crack a case versus what is it now, and has the introduction of psychologists and psychiatrists really in a way helped the work?
Ms. Devika, these crimes against women, especially the sexual crimes, have been taking place over the ages. They have continued. They will continue. I'm sorry saying this. And in India, there has been a large number. Now, the recent focus is there because more of media, which is a very welcome thing. And in heinous cases, there is a lot of media publicity, like Nirbhaya's case and now Abhaya's case, and now what you're talking of Badlapur. Now, talking of your study, it's a very laudable study, let me tell you, but I would suggest that please involve police officers in your study, police statistics in your study, the number of cases registered, charge sheeted, how many, convicted, how many. I think this is very important. You have added prisons, which is a part of the criminal justice system, but do involve judiciary also. Only then it will be a comprehensive study. This is one. Second, I think to me as a police officer, it's more important what action is taken. Investigation is very, very important. And then the charge sheet and the conviction. Now, two important points according to me in this. See, once the media glare is over, everybody will forget it. Public memory is very short. So what's going to happen to the case itself? Now, there police needs a lot of help, let me tell you. There are a large number of issues which I'll come to later. But police is not today well equipped to deal with these cases. This is very, very important, which you must keep in mind. And second, there's no publicity when the conviction is there. The Prime Minister mentioned during the Independence Day speech that when convictions are there, and he was talking with reference to the Kolkata case, publicity should be given to that also. But no publicity is given anywhere, neither by the media, nor by newspapers, nor by anybody else. So this is news actually, that is it. So I think these also should form a part of your study. This is my suggestion. Now, talking of whether involving the psychologists and others in the police helps, it does. But let me tell you that most of the victims, let us leave these cases apart, are family members, and crime is committed by the family members. Every policeman knows it. It will be an own uncle or some relative or somebody like that only. But yes, they are welcome to be a part of the police teams. They'll help investigate more. I think I'm looking more at an investigation point of view, because correctional is not our job. That is the job of the prisons. That they will look into it. So for the time being, as far as opening remarks are concerned, this is what I would say. And one more thing, see, this social media and this pornography and all are also very big culprits. I don't know what can be done about it. Devika.
Okay. I want to bring in then Dr. Naresh Chava into the conversation as well. Dr. Chava, I'd like your thoughts. NewsX has just made the first draft of the proposal that we are now hoping to submit to the government as well as the IMA. But I want to understand from you, is it crucial for us to now take this step and conduct a large study to really understand what is the psychology of what's going on in India?
Look, Devika, there are many parts of the whole thing. First thing, kudos to your channel. Yours is the only channel till now, as I know it, who has at least entered this story that we, till now, IMA, all members of IMA, almost 4 lakh members, we were quite outraged. What is it happening? Because our problem is not only this last rape and brutal murder. Our problem is also the assaults on doctors, whether in their clinics or in person or their nursing homes. That is also a very big pain of us. Coming to the focus you are on today, don't forget there are many factors for this. The rapes were not this many as we have now, say around 5-6 decades back. The values have changed a lot. Even media and other people are largely, I won't say responsible, but part of it. The women have been objectified. Plus, the women working at places, that is also contributes to it in a very big way. But the one factor which, if we enter the mind of a rapist, is only one. His mind is that of a psychopath. Psychopathness, it is a deviant mind, is a absolutely wrong mind, वगैरह वगैरह. You talk of this kind of study happened in America. The socio-economic conditions and the problems are India are altogether different. We do not have a focus of this kind. You have desired, your channel has prepared a total protocol. I fully 100% agree with it. So till the time government starts supporting these kind of issues financially and otherwise, it becomes very, very difficult. So my appeal to the government of it today is support these things. Nirbhaya, don't forget, I often remind on channels this thing. It took 8 years for open, well-known culprits of Nirbhaya to be hanged. And we fear in this Kolkata case also, it may take couple of months or years. So just imagine, it is a matter of crime and punishment. If I come to know that I'll easily get away with after committing a crime, what is the deterrent? And don't forget one thing, Devika, I'm openly stating, not as a authority, but as a social watcher. The rapes reported are only tip of the iceberg. There are many more which are not even reported. They happen in households, in families, etc., etc. So it is a far bigger malady. It's good that we are learning. It's good that you started it. I think the debate has to go on, and it has to be a government-supported project. IMA will become a part of it, support it all together if we get the support of other sections of society, including police, judiciary, and many other NGOs, etc., etc.
Okay, I want to bring in Dr. Vivek Kumar into the conversation as well. Dr. Vivek Kumar, we'd just like to understand from you, sir, how crucial does it become to understand the psychology, and also what is it that happens in one's mind which really puts you in a state where you've completely dehumanized the person that you're being brutal with? Because some of the rape cases that we've seen, for example, even in Kolkata, it's not ending at raping the victim, it's strangulation, it's suffocation. You're beating up the victim, you're punching their face, you're punching their abdomen. What really goes on in the mind, sir?
So basically, you see these people, that especially the case that we are discussing of the Kolkata doctor, they are basically psychopath. It's the intention was not only the rape, the kind of trauma, the physical trauma inflicted on the victim is really very difficult to explain. So these people are basically psychopaths. Maybe they may be harboring some kind of personality disorder. And maybe we need to study the mindset of these such sexual offenders or predators, at what motivates or led these people commit such crimes. So the study that you have been discussing about Ann Burgess from Boston, Obviously, the same could not be correlated in our setups because, as Dr. Chawla rightly said, that most of the offenders in our setups are mainly the family members or the near and dear or the friends who are already known to the victim. So, what goes into their mindset and the fear of law is no longer there. So, that's the main problem. And many people have the kind of mindset, if you see the corresponding anatomical substrate for in these offenders, then they may be having some temporal lobe or frontal lobe problems which could lead to such abnormal aggressive behavior or dominating behavior, which could lead to, there have been the studies to study the genetic abnormalities in the sexual predators, which can motivate or deviate or make them behave in an aggressive way as they do. Yes.
Okay, I want to bring in Dr. Nisha Khana as well. Dr. Nisha Khana, how do you propose, ma'am, that India undertakes such a study on sexual predators?
I believe that I think so. The role of neuropsychiatrists are also very important. The psychiatrist role is important. Definitely, the forensic science role is important. And to understand the mind of the, I would say, the sexual predator as well as the victim who has after effects of this particular incident, who survived, it's very difficult for them actually to go through further to live their life also. When you talk about the sexual predators, some I would say these sorts of people definitely in lots of studies in the past they showed about that the people have some organic brain structure or learning disability issues. Numerous cases find it out. There are schizophrenia or psychotic incidents who are found in there, so that's why they are behaving. I think so. Our colleagues were also talking about that the role of social media, or I would say that plays an important because the exposure to the sexual content or the watching of porn easily available on internet, easily available on internet, and the people keep getting into these. The most of the time, or lots of studies talks about there are these such people have on the psychological basis they have attachment issues with the caregivers. Along with that, when they have born and brought up in those families where women are very demeaning, so most of the time it's not only about that they are insecure people, they want power and control, and in their surroundings they don't believe that, or the woman or the person over whom they are going to rape, they want to control. And some of the rapists have sadistic tendencies, so they feel good about when someone is in pain. As you said in this case, the brutally, even we talked about numerous cases which have been not reported or highlighted on TV, but on numerous cases it have been found that our known people does such sort of behavior. But it's also that which are not being reported. When we do counseling sessions, I am in 22 years of practice, and I think so no single woman can say they have never faced such incident where man misbehaved with them. Most of the men or a woman in their childhood faced, I would say, I can't mention the percentage, but most of the time I have noticed that during my counseling sessions they faced maybe the incidents of molestation, or someone tried to have bad or eve teasing incidents. These also plays an important role. Here the born and brought up, I would say, the surroundings where especially that you have the circle with whom you are interacting, whether your friends, your peer group, because some studies also says that the sexual offender or the sexual aggression is a learned behavior. Maybe you learn this behavior to get the control and authority and show your aggression or power on the person. So it's not one thing or one theory is responsible. Maybe the evolutionary theories are responsible, personality theories are responsible, maybe the genetic factors plays a role, behavioral factors also plays a role. And definitely the study also talk about, because sexual predators have certain symptoms in advance. They have done something similar in the past, either on the milder scale. Maybe they have tried to molest someone, they were doing eve teasing, or either the behavior is such sort of where they maybe suppress their sexual urges. And most of the studies also found that before doing this incident, that they have watched porn on their phones. I would say, I think so, in 2012 when the Nirbhaya case happened, and it was also been that one of the predator did the similar thing. So you can say that not only one thing, all the people, I would say the people from different fraternities can play a role. I think so. How the predator misbehaves with the person because the person shows physical aggression towards that. Maybe so much of suppressive wishes. I can just mention about last month I did one client who was like a god to the family members. He tried to molest the younger the daughter's age child of the family. He just tried to molest, did nothing but tried to kiss and told the person, you are not my kid or you are not my family member, I'm your lover. So you just imagine that with a person who was like a goddess figure in the family, and everyone like maybe when they get into the history during the counseling process, and I got to know that this person has a history of certain incidents where he was trying to suppress his sexual urges, and he said that he was feeling certain sexual tendencies of such sort in from last 1 month on and off, and specifically about that particular person. So you have to understand that these symptoms are visible. Either the family members, either the surroundings, the people are not able to notice that. And definitely when we are going to do studies, why we can talk about even the normal public also, not only the people who are going or have gone through rape, because it is longitudinal studies, because lots of effects a rape victim faced in such scenarios. The PTSD is the very common, depression, anxiety, fear. A person can't even think of meeting the other. Even the guilt is there. Guilt of or the behavior. Maybe in that particular time, I must have behaved in another way or a different way. That sort of guilt is there. That is related to the behavioral. Another is the character. Maybe inherently something is wrong in my character. So that's why such incidents happened with me. So the study can also even include the after effects of rape on the victim part. So I would say, because it's not an easy to talk about such incidents, because no one want to remind certain incidents. When I dealing with the molestation or rape cases in the clinic, and I'm telling you, I dealt with the rapist also, molesters also, or the people who became the victim of such people, and sometimes they have no guilt factor at all. Some people have guilt after certain time, but because of the exposure, the behavioral, maybe they love to talk double meanings, they enjoy their jokes, and the people of the surroundings actually encourage them to do certain behavior and to prove themselves that, okay, I'm a man or I'm such sort of person who can inherit control over the other person or the weaker aspect of the society, and I can control, or maybe submissively the person is behaving in front of me, or I can tell other person to do anything and go to any extent. And the aggression part is also playing in a role. Maybe they have themselves also have the history of sexual abuse in the past. Definitely these people also have faced in the past also about the violence, not only themselves, in their surroundings, because doing the violence, because they have seen in the surroundings, they learn that behavioral pattern, because modeling or the model, basically
Right.
the family members are the main model in front of them. So they have seen those sort of behaviors, and because they have seen and other people encourage them to do certain behavior, that's why they proceeding, and after one incident they are keep doing certain incident one after another, because no one is stopping them and no one is talking about them. And because this particular case I was talking about, the family members, even though two sisters never talked about that this person did the same thing with them.
Okay.
So you just imagine that people do not talk about this.
Yes, absolutely.
When they deal with sexual predators, people
Absolutely.
have to talk about certain incidents so that other family members also get to know and be aware about the behavior. And definitely, if in your family or in anyone in the society is having such sort of people in the surroundings, they
Yes.
have to take them to the doctors, psychiatrists, psychologists, neuropsychiatrists, brain mapping, every therapy. If there are lots of things which
Okay.
are required, maybe they have the problem in their brain, they have learning disability, they may
Okay.
have required to deal with the sexual urges if they have higher testosterone level. So how
Okay.
to reduce the testosterone level, that is also the part, because in numerous
Okay.
studies, the case I was talking about, that the person's testosterone level was very high, and we described then how to take the diet even and what not to do so that his testosterone level should get lesser.
Okay, but
So
okay.
it's not one thing.
Okay, Dr. Nisha Khana, I want to bring in Dr. Naresh Chava as well into the conversation. Dr. Chawla, that's what we're hoping that this study will perhaps help us understand, because as Dr. Khana also pointed out, there was one person who's molesting a minor within the family, and one of the causes that the doctors have found is greater testosterone levels. I'm sure that there are several men out there who are inflicted with this sort of an anomaly. However, they're not molesting people. So how does one then come to a conclusion as to what's going on in the mind? There has to be something greater than simply the testosterone levels being high.
Yes, Dr. Nisha Khana dwelt at large in practically explaining many aspects of the so-called sexual offender or rapist or whatever. I like to remind few things. Look, sex is a normal instinct which is there. We as a society, and the study which you are thinking to start should be started by IMA and should be joined by everyone. We'll have to define what is normal, what is abnormal, etc., etc. Don't mind the sexual behavior of the people, say, a century back, and sexual behavior of the people now is a hell changed. I already said that we never used to have rapes in the early 90s or 1950s. It has happened only, and I already told you that we are having this malady in far bigger numbers than we can imagine. So we as a society, as a civilized society, we are supposed to make some norms, rights, wrongs. Otherwise, everybody is wrong. Everybody is right. We are only seeing, say, one such big this kind of a Kolkata kind of an incident, say once in a year, say maybe a couple of years. So is that all? It is not all. There are many in villages, in small towns. These things are occurring and is not even reported. As a society, we are supposed to make it has to be a government supported project. Even the Ministry of Youth or Culture can join in. Ministry of Education can join in. It has to be a national task. Not only IMA, but many other NGOs, big NGOs have to join. And it has not to be a time-bound program. It has to be a program which will take a couple of years. Only then it will be of use. Something which has happened in America cannot be transported in Indian kind of situations. We are different. So in my opinion, yes, we need to think it over, debate it out, and then decide everything.
Right, absolutely. I leave the last word with Mr. B.L. Vora. Mr. Vora, you've just heard our doctors and psychologists. I want to leave the last word with you, sir. If India were to conduct such a study, how do you propose we go about it?
Study is very important, very good initiative. We all support it. But a couple of observations. Dr. Nisha Khana spoke very well, but I'm afraid she took too much of time. Dr. Naresh Chava said that rapes are not happening earlier. I respectfully beg to disagree. I joined the Indian Police Service in 1967. Rapes have always been there. Only thing is people were not reporting to the police earlier. Now society has become better. People report, and there was no media. Now more is known. So coming to initial point that I made, please make police and judiciary a part of your study. This is very, very important. And politicians, even if you make them or not, doesn't matter. But look at what happened in Kolkata now. I don't want to go into details. The politicians are trying to protect their own people, whether the culprits or the police. This is what is happening. The chief minister went to the streets herself, saying what? So anyway, ultimately, see, the buck will stop at them. For me, conviction is far more important. Investigation is far more important. Giving punishment and its publicity is far more important. So I think unless there are police reforms today, according to Police Act, police is accountable to the politicians in power. It must be made accountable to the law and the parliament. Unless that happens, things are not going to improve at all. And in judiciary, as Dr. Naresh Chava rightly pointed out, takes 20 years for a case to come to a conclusion. And percentage of conviction is so low. Now this case will get publicity in a few days' time. The public memory is short, will be all forgotten. So I think there are a whole lot of issues which need to be involved. So let us take action on that also. But I am afraid studies are very good. We will have very good findings. We most welcome it. but I'm afraid action is not going to be much. Unless we do that, there's not going to be much of a justice on this front in India. Devika.
Okay.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.